This week on the Linux Action Show, I take you with me behind the SCaLE curtain, and I'll show you what I did when I wasn't at the conference. The truth is, the best part about these events are not the events themselves, but rather the social aspect that happens once the conference hall is closed. Plus, never-before-seen interviews from some of my favorite expos on the show floor. After arriving back into the US at 11 p.m. the night before from Tokyo on a trip with my wife, I headed to the airport to catch a 5 a.m. flight. LA's 70-degree plus weather was a welcome change to the 20 degrees it was in Grand Forks when I left. Before getting to work, I wanted to poke my head into the expo hall to get a sense of the vibe this year at SCaLE. While I was immediately greeted with some familiar faces, the overall conference seemed to have shifted from one of community to more of a corporate-like event. After getting an initial lay of the land, I decided it was time to take a break and go get some dinner. The guys convinced me to try sushi for the first time.
So after spending over a week in Japan, talking with the Japanese, speaking Japanese, and eating all the Japanese food, being around the Japanese culture, I still had managed to avoid eating uncooked fish. Now, I come here to SCaLE, and Gabriel, one of my good friends from SCaLE, has convinced me to come to a sushi restaurant and eat raw fish.
In my own head,
Can't believe I'm about to do this, but
it's just a spicy tuna roll. He's being a baby.
Here's the thing: be that as it may, raw fish, be that as it may. The reality is, I never pass up an opportunity to make show content, so we're gonna go ahead and do this. So, hajimemashite, no desu. And we are going to eat a sushi roll. So we're gonna pick it up. That is not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
That's pretty damn tasty, huh?
Yeah. Spicy. It's good.
Now here, graduate.
That is pretty damn tasty.
Graduate.
Okay, let's not get carried away.
This is a piece of SCaLE. It is actually delicious.
Yeah, totally.
One slice.
Okay, maybe we'll work up to that. I'm gonna stick with my ramen soup, and we'll see if we graduate to that one. I have officially eaten sushi for the first time.
There's me. With the
The following day, I hit the conference floor with my feet running, looking for that System 76 booth so I could get an inside scoop of that new Galago.
All right, we're back with System 76. Now, last week, we talked to you about what System 76, the company, was doing, and we kind of teased this. This is... I'll go ahead and say this is the most excited I've ever been about a System 76 product. I have a lot of laptops, I have a lot of desktops from them, but I think this is an entirely new generation of System 76 products. This is the new Galago, the ultra-light, aluminum-based Ultrabook that, I mean, really, it's a MacBook killer.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we're definitely trying to give Mac a run for their money. So we're going to give everybody a different option and something that they can love and take with them and keep for years to come. This thing's going to be durable, it's going to be lightweight, and it's got enough power and enough speed to get your job done.
Now, the truth is, in media, there's a little secret. You're never supposed to call anything a killer, because I know, it's my words, not yours. You didn't say it. You didn't say it. You're safe. But I'm just saying, you're never supposed to call it a killer. But I am going on record and saying, I think this is going to be a MacBook killer, and let me explain why. First, you notice right here on the machine here, we have the trackpad. It has an actual physical button. I really like the physical buttons because having used laptops back from the days that we had physical buttons, I rest my palm on here, and trackpads under Linux just don't have the palm detection that some of the other manufacturers have, and so oftentimes that leads to a bad experience. And so these actual physical buttons are really good for somebody that want to get work done. The actual overall design of this thing is fantastic. You don't see a lot of seams. They're all, very well sealed up around the edges here. It feels very solid when I press on it. It doesn't squish at all. James, tell me a little bit about this keyboard, because I know this, even though this keyboard is fantastic, and I typed on it, pretty extensively yesterday and today. This keyboard is not the one that's going to ship.
No, not completely. We're actually going to put a backlit keyboard on this, so low-level typing, night typing. You can get a little bit of color on this. You can see what you're doing, and you can definitely find your keys a bit faster. It's going to look gorgeous.
That's absolutely outstanding. And of course, we don't have any sort of Windows key or anything like that. It's a full-on Ubuntu key. The function keys, all of these are not software-based. These are hardware keys?
Correct. Yeah, all of the function keys are firmware-based. Firmware will disable the touchpad, adjust the screen, mute the audio. Many things do get grabbed by the operating system after the firmware sends them through the bus, but many of them are just handled at a firmware level and are completely independent.
Now, here's where, so I think right on its face as far as build construction, all of that, it really reminds me of a MacBook Air. Really looks fantastic, feels fantastic, functions fantastically. But here's where you start to set yourself apart. Tell me the price on this.
This thing's $899 for the intro price.
Okay, so to give you some comparison, the MacBook Air is like $999, and it comes with a 1366 by 768 display. Now the demo that we have here is a...
This will be a 4K high DPI screen. This is our first prototype. It doesn't have the IDPI in it right now, but it will on production.
But even this one is a 1080p.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So this one has a 1080p. It's going up to a 4K display, so it's really going to compete on the MacBook Pro level. As far as the specifications, this does have integrated graphics. That's right.
Yep, correct. Intel integrated graphics, the HD graphics right on chip.
But here's where we start to get ahead of the MacBook. So I think it's on this side here, we have a drop-down network jack. So you have a laptop that is literally, I mean, your product video is literally showing people stacking starbursts next to the computer. This thing is so thin. I mean, I can't put into words how thin this thing is, but even as thin as it is, we still have a drop-down Ethernet jack. You've got, is this Lightning?
No, that's actually a Kingston lock.
Oh, that is, okay.
This will be a Thunderbolt port when everything is said and done, along with a traditional display port and an HDMI port.
So you have both, so I can connect two different displays as well as a full-size HDMI connector. So if you're a business guy, if you're traveling, if you're going out to give presentations, this machine's going to plug right in to your display, as well as we have an SD card reader on this side. Do we have any ports on this side?
Yeah, on the other side here too. We also have an additional USB port. Power buttons on the side too, as well as the power input.
Outstanding. And we have two separate audio jacks, so if you're a person that's doing any sort of video or audio production, you have the ability to put, instead of that stupid combo jack, you have the ability to run headphones to an actual set of headphones and an actual microphone to an actual microphone. And then we have a traditional barrel plug for the power. But overall, a fantastic laptop. And when does this laptop ship?
This will be out in August, or April actually. April, so just a few more months we'll have this ready for shipment.
Outstanding. And you know when System 76 says it's going to... Come on over here, Ryan.
I have one thing that we added, and it actually pushed the date. It's the Thunderbolt. Actually pushed the date. We're going to release it here at SCaLE. And then we decided, after doing some eGPU testing, that we would include the Thunderbolt so that folks could go home, plug in a GPU from an eGPU chassis, and have a full dedicated graphics. Wow. So that is something that I wanted to make sure that we mentioned. We thought a lot about it, and we tried it out, and it's a really, really neat experience, and it actually works quite well under Ubuntu. We have a partnership with NVIDIA, and so it's going to be one of the things that we continually advocate for. But right now, it's not hot swappable yet. But you plug it in, and you boot the machine. It recognizes the GPU, and then you can be playing Steam, games, or doing machine learning, or simulating really complex systems on a laptop that is the size of the thickness of a starburst. Like, that is nuts.
So let me run through a scenario for you. Tell me if this is kind of what you guys are envisioning. I'm a video editor. I do a lot of video editing, and I travel between home and work, and I go back and forth. And so maybe I need a laptop that is cost effective enough that I can purchase it with, and take a chance on editing on Linux. Yes. Because if that's not something that's done, at SCaLE.
Not
something that's done at SCaLE at the moment.
Okay, so I don't jump on Linux Unplugged to argue with Chris every week, but I need you to know that lots of editing is actually done on Linux.
Oh, I know, I do it.
No, I know. I'm saying
and it works?
I'm saying professionally.
Oh, okay.
We have customers who are doing this, who are making things like freaking for like the Harry Potter films and stuff like that. We know that for a fact. So it does happen.
Sure.
It's just not at our level.
And in his defense, I don't think he's ever claimed that video editing on Linux is impossible. I think that his stance is simply that it is not as efficient as doing it on some other platforms. And so if you're pressed for time, and we can have the discussion.
And it's not as cheap. It's not as cheap. The guys who are doing this some of them are paying for ridiculously priced software that's only used by a handful of studios.
Right,
and I just wanted to push back on that.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, he's doing, if you're talking about, our discussion was, focused on, vlogs and stuff. But all that aside, let's say you're using something just like KDN Live, which is available for everyone, and you wanted to take a chance on doing like a daily vlog editing on Linux, and you wanted a cost-effective computer, but at the same time, you wanted that oomph of a dedicated GPU. Are you telling me I could buy 2 GPUs for a couple $100, put one at home, put one at the office, and then take this laptop, and when I'm at a coffee shop and I'm browsing the internet, checking my email, now I have an Intel graphics card. And when I go back into my office, I sit down to get some work done, I plug that sucker in, I boot that baby up, and now I'm video editing on a dedicated GPU?
That is precisely what I'm telling you.
And you're telling me that's available for $8.99?
That's correct.
In April?
In April, yes.
Oh my God.
One more thing. There is a sign up on the website to be notified as soon as it's available. And I don't know this for certain, but there may be perks from being on that newsletter. And so I would encourage people to go ahead and drop their name in there, just in case there's a special perk for being one of the guys who saw value in this early.
Sure. Now, James, I got to ask you a personal question.
Go for it.
I know it's System 76. You guys obviously use System 76.
Oh yes, of course. I love those things.
Of course. So, is this a computer that you would consider for yourself?
This is perfect. I think I would actually go with the Oryx myself, but this is I like the NVIDIA graphics. I like that extra power. I don't mind schlepping around a little bigger. I like the screen size too. I'm much more happy with the 17-inch.
Let me ask you this: you don't do a lot of flying?
No.
Because the trays on airlines,
I know, right? They don't fit the 17s, right?
They don't. They barely fit 15-inch. And so something like this. I mean, we've been doing this interview. You've probably been on the air for maybe 10 minutes, and you've been holding this thing with one hand. How's your arm feeling?
It's fine. This thing's only 1.5 pounds, not even. I mean, the thing's super light, very easily portable. You don't have to worry about dropping it and having it explode on you because it weighs 10 pounds.
Right.
I'm not going to fumble this,
this is a computer that you can take stuff between the couch cushions, whatever, and it's just always on your, you can always have it on your person. It goes on an airline. It fits inside of a train. I spent a lot of time on a train the past couple weeks, and so, lap space in front of you is very, very limited. Something like this is absolutely phenomenal. And for the longest time, I think what people have been looking for in the last couple of years, you've seen this trend, right? In Best Buy, for a while, HP and Toshiba and all these companies are making these plastic, large notebooks with dedicated, number pads and stuff. And then the trend shifted a couple of years ago, and we have been watching people go. They want aluminum chassis. They want thin. They want no optical drive. They want small, portable, without a keypad. And I asked Carl 2 years ago at SCaLE. I said, Carl, I will swear by System 76, own one, take one everywhere I go if you give me a 13-inch Ultrabook. Will that ever happen? And he said, no, that's never going to happen. And this year, and here we are, and we have a 13-inch aluminum Ultrabook that not only matches the specifications of the MacBook, but in my personal opinion, exceeds the specifications of a MacBook.
Oh, easily. With the power you can put in this thing will hold up to 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. I mean, that's amazing. That's better than any of the MacBooks right now. You can run that many more virtual machines. It also has an i7 processor as one of the options. We're all 7th gen processors on every single one of our lineups. All of our laptops have the brand new KB Lake stuff. So, I mean, you'll be able to get whatever you need done.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for what you guys are doing. Thank you for this computer.
I already bought one.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, they're not available to April.
Well, they're not available for you.
He's on the list.
You know somebody.
Yeah, I know somebody.
Well, this is absolutely fantastic. I think this product, I seriously, guys, I really think this product is going to set you guys in a completely different direction, because I think you guys, this is the first computer that I've seen that I think easily not only matches but exceeds what people expect from a MacBook. And I think that as those developers are, I mean, we call it the Mac Exodus, right? They're jumping off right and left, and now you guys have given them a landing spot where they can land hardware, well-built hardware that I think they can feel comfortable purchasing for a cost-effective price and get all of their work done, and then add some extra stuff on the side to make it even cooler.
Yeah, and it runs Ubuntu. And you don't have to worry about virtual machines. You can
Right.
actually do your development natively.
Right.
And it's supported for the lifetime of the product. Anytime you have an Ubuntu question, you call us. It's free. It's included with the laptop for the lifetime of the system. I mean, who else is giving away technical support like that?
They don't, what other company the difference between System 76 and the Dells or the Lenovos or whatever, even in the Windows world, is that the people at Dell are not passionate about Windows. The people at Lenovo are not passionate about Windows. To some degree, I think even the people that work at Apple aren't necessarily passionate about Mac OS. They're passionate about iOS. And you guys eat, live, and breathe Ubuntu. And and you know, as I'm walking around the conference, I'm seeing all of these MacBooks pop up.
Yeah.
And what that tells me is that if you're a developer and you're working on a, you know, like an operating system, and you have XYZ OS, and you're telling me about XYZ OS while you're running it, while you're playing with your MacBook and Mac OS, I have to question if you have run into the same bugs that I'm going to run into, because while you're sitting on Mac OS, I'm running your operating system, and I don't want, you know, really where things get fixed is where developers scratch an itch. And so as you guys are using your own hardware with the operating system that you guys recommend, which is Linux, and you guys find these problems, then you guys are going upstream, you're talking to people, you're getting firmware fixes, all of this stuff is happening. No other company is doing that.
The most interesting thing, though, that I found here was I kept pulling aside people who had MacBooks. And what I found is an actually super interesting trend, and what I've had at least 10 people tell me in regards to this machine today, was that they're running Linux on their MacBooks.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. But every single one of them told me, I have already decided to move to this machine because the only thing I wanted was a nice aluminum thin laptop. And so they're like, I'm excited at being able to tell developers who have hardware preferences, you know, for that type of build, that this is something that you can replace and not feel like you lost. In fact, you gain ports. And I know Mac people don't really know what that is, but like it's these things that you plug components into and accessories and
Like
stuff.
dongles?
No, not like dongles, because you don't need multiple ones. You don't have to daisy chain them. Yeah.
Ethernet port.
So do you need a separate dongle for it looks like there's different dongle connectors. Like I need a separate dongle for each one of those?
No, those are called standards, and there's different ones for different types of accessories.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate your time. Ryan and James, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Much appreciated. We love you too. Thanks for coming by.
We'll definitely, we want to get one of these in. We want to review it and take a look at it when they're available in April.
It's all yours. Just
Thank
send
you.
us the word.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
Now that Galago was pretty sweet, and I took my sweet time playing with it off camera, but then I found another booth, somebody who had helped me out in a past episode, and I wanted to say hi.
A couple of months ago, you might remember on the Linux Action Show, we did a how-to on Discourse, setting up Discourse, and as part of that, I found a service called SparkPost that does basically it's a service that you can use for free, at least for the first tier, where you can send emails, and so the automated email process for Discourse has been using SparkPost. Now, since that tutorial, I've used SparkPost for a number of different things, and walking through SCaLE, I ran into Adrian, who works for SparkPost. How are you, Adrian?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. So I got to tell you, I have all of my experience with SparkPost has been phenomenal, because you took what seemed to me was going to be very, very complicated, right? To take all of this stuff and this entire back-end infrastructure, and you've condensed it down into literally, I sign up for an account and I grab an API key.
Exactly, and that's really what we've been trying to do since we launched SparkPost about 2 years ago.
Oh, so you are a relatively newer company then?
Yeah, I mean, we've been around in the email industry for over 15 years, sending email as message systems with our on-premise software Momentum. And basically, we took that software, put it in the cloud, and called it SparkPost. So we make sure everybody has access to use it without having to set up their own infrastructure.
Now, one of the things that immediately stood out to me as fantastic on SparkPost was your dashboard. It is so intuitive, easy to navigate that. Tell me a little bit about how you've designed that dashboard and how that is set up for people that, like me, who have not dealt with mass email services.
Yeah, I mean, the dashboard has really evolved a lot over the last couple of years. We've done a lot with community feedback. We've been at conferences taking feedback. We've been at hackathons, finding out what it is that people want to see. So we've really adjusted that for what the community has been asking for. But the best part has been the reporting dashboard.
Right.
And so that's where you can drill into at the campaign level. You can see opens, clicks, things like that. And that's really what people want to see at a glance. And so we've tried to cater towards that.
Now, do you have a solution? Because I've used SparkPost exclusively as, I take that IPA key, I stick it into whatever it is I'm doing, and then that generates emails, and I'm using it a number of different places. But you alluded to this idea of like mailing lists and campaigns and stuff. Is that something that can be done exclusively through SparkPost, or does that need to tie into another service?
So we kind of do like a low-level campaigns where whenever you send a transmission, you can assign a campaign ID to it, and that just really helps out for reporting. You get that information back in webhooks, you get that with the message events, and it's just a quick way to find emails that go together. With the API, so our RESTful API, you have templates, so you can set up templates with substitution data, and then you can also tie that to recipient lists where each recipient holds substitution information like name, address, anything you'd want to stick into the email. If you have a membership level, you can put that in there. That's all available with our RESTful API. It sounds like what you're using is our SMTP.
Yes.
So where you're just putting in our server and your credentials and going. So that's great, and that's a great way to get people up and running with SparkPost really quickly. But we have a whole set of kind of more advanced features that are available using our RESTful API.
Okay. Give me some examples of where I could use that RESTful API.
Yeah, so instead of using SMTP to trigger the email, we have the transmissions endpoint, which you can hit and send the email. Now you can inline HTML and use our substitution strings to fill in information, or you can just point directly to a template file. So it just depends how you want to do it. So if you have a separation of, I want my designer to put together my template, and then the person who's sending an email to just reference it, you can do that. Those are some things that they can do. If you don't want to inline your recipients, because we usually recommend about sending to 10,000 people at a time if you're inlining. You can send to a lot more if you put them all into a recipient list.
Sure. You have to forgive me. It's amusing to me because I deal at such a small scale. I think the largest thing I've used SparkPost was like a couple thousand people.
Right.
So when you start talking about like 10,000 being the low end, I'm like, holy cow! What it tells me is that you guys are really built for large scale.
Yeah, I mean, last month alone we sent about 10 billion emails.
Wow.
Yeah. So we typically send about 25% of the world's legitimate email.
Outstanding. And I know I know from using it and from signing up, a big thing to you guys is staying away from spam. There's a lot of controls and things that are in place to make sure that if I sign up for an account and I'm using a service, that every email that sends is something that I'm sending, and so that attackers can't get into that account and start using your service to harass people.
Yeah, so we really encourage everybody to set up DKIM. That's a great way to authenticate that it's you that's sending it. It helps with your inbox placement, especially with like Gmail and the other services. But then also, we have a great team of awesome deliverability experts on the back end, making sure that spammers don't join our account, send a whole bunch of messages, and ruin the reputation of everybody who's using the system.
Right.
So we have a lot of automated processes that scan links for fishy type links. We have a lot of policies in place to just help keep those off there and keep the service clean.
That's absolutely fantastic. As a side note, I noticed on your presentation machine here, one of the things this year that has been different from past years at SCaLE is there's an uptick in MacBooks. And I came and I was kind of surprised that you weren't using a MacBook. Apparently a MacBook wasn't cutting it for you guys.
I mean, I love my MacBook. I'm a Mac guy, to a fault, I guess.
Sure.
But we have this wonderful presentation machine that's a touchscreen monitor from Dell, and there are no drivers for the touchscreen interface for a Mac. We've been carrying around this Chromebook for a long time because we wanted that to be it's something cheap that we can put into our event kit. And I just decided to plug it in, and lo and behold, like all the touch stuff worked. And so it's been great because I'm not really tied to being behind the booth. I can come out there with the people, touch the screen, and move from thing to thing, screen to screen. So it's been really great.
Tell me a little bit about what is being demoed here on this machine.
So we've tried to keep it really simple for people coming out to events, and so everything we give is a website. And so we just have it displayed in full screen mode. Funny story, one of the kids who was here for Kids Day showed me how to put it into full screen mode. So the last year it's not been, and so it's great. But we just try to display our GitHub organization page so you can kind of see the client libraries we have out there. We try to pick some key web pages from our website to put up there. It seems like it's been really important this year that people understand how to do SMTP. So one of our interns wrote a great blog post on using SMTP with Gmail, and so I put that blog post up front and center. It's always nice to show code samples of how to send our information, and then we have we display the dashboard so people can see the metrics we report on and things like that.
Speaking of tutorials, when I first walked up to you, one of the first things that we started our conversation off with is that you guys actually have a tutorial for using Discourse. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so back during the Mandrill migration, or I guess whatever you want to call it, we saw an uptick in people asking questions about using Discourse. I guess a lot of people who use Mandrill or use Discourse was using Mandrill to handle that sign-up process. One of our engineers caught a hold of that, figured out how to install Discourse using DigitalOcean, and then wrote a nice little tutorial on how to set up Discourse to use SparkPost.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk, and thank you so much for what you guys are doing. Being a company that has been around for 2 years, I'm really excited to see where you guys go, because it seems like you have a lot of opportunity ahead of you, and you're definitely delivering on an easy-to-use product that can get you off the ground with almost no experience, or literally in my case, no experience at all. And I was able to get it up and running. So really excited to see where you guys go. And thank you for the time, Adrian. People want more information. Where can they go?
They can go to sparkpost.com or developers.sparkpost.com and check us out on Twitter at SparkPost.
At SparkPost, Adrian with sparkpost.com. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so it is after we are done at the conference, and this is Joey. Say hi, Joey.
Hey guys.
Joey's hanging out with me, and we are on our way to go pick up Gabriel, and then we are going to head out, maybe pick up a couple other friends too. They haven't gotten back to us yet, but and then we are going to head out for Indian food. I love Indian food. Anytime I travel, I have to go try out the local Indian restaurant. There's a really great place in Torrance, California, so we're going to drive out there and give it a shot. I'll let you guys know how it is, but should be a fun time. Did you like the conference today?
Oh yeah. It was great.
I thought so too. I get a lot of interviews and saw a lot of Linux, and of course spent some time with the System 76 folks and checked out their new laptop, a aluminum, all metal aluminum Ultrabook. That thing is cool, man. I tell you what, it is the next level. I think it's really gonna be cool. Did you see that Ultrabook?
Oh yeah, I want that.
Yeah, me too. $899, man. Can you believe that? That's $100 cheaper than the MacBook, and has a nicer screen than the MacBook.
Yeah.
And has the ability to have an external GPU, so you get the size and portability of an Ultrabook with the power of discrete graphics if and when you need it. It's pretty cool. So off to Indian food.
To say that Sunday started out rocky would be the understatement of the century, but I did make it back to SCaLE in time to do Last Live with Chris. Overall, SCaLE 2017 was a huge success. I had a ton of fun, and I can't wait to come back. But if you think that you missed out, don't worry, you have another shot, so to speak. Linux Fest Northwest 2017 in Bellingham, Washington on May 6th and 7th. Now this is Jupiter Broadcasting's home Linux Fest, which means we'll be streaming live from the floor as well as pulling interviews from the expo hall. So go ahead and get registered, book your hotel rooms, and come out and say hi to us. And a huge thank you to the entire SCaLE team for having Jupiter Broadcasting at SCaLE 2017.